Hey, what's up everybody, this is Ultimate Khan, also known as Atish, and I'm your dedicated online game designer. I'm here to take a look at Street Fighter 4. It was requested by a social media follower, and here it is. So I'm going to take a look at the design of the game. And unfortunately, I cannot find a video that has everything. Alright, so we can take a look at this is a game movie, so story walkthrough, no commentary. It's by a user called Tamil. Okay, so let's take a look at that just for the sake of completing this game design study. Alright, so straight off the bat we find that we are basically looking at comic art style. It's kind of like a comic at the moment, at least. I don't know whether it'll stay that way or not. So alright, so all of these are basically, well, since it's a Capcom game, you can see that there's a lot of standard Japanese game stuff going on here. And that's the best thing, you see, identity. You can easily see that this game, or you can tell that this game came out of Japan. Tekken, Street Fighter, they're very similar in aesthetic, at least. Okay. So that was a very cool intro. Probably gives an overview of what each character is, what he or she can do, or the characters that we should focus on. Okay, so this is basically like a old school cartoon or anime cartoon. Again, this you'll find in these kind of anime clips or animations or anime cartoons. You'll find in most Japanese cartoons. Remember watching Beyblade? The aesthetic was very similar. It looked similar to this. So again, you can easily identify that this is probably coming out of Japan. Okay, so this is, oh wow, this is so different. Like the anime cartoon, the cutscene and the actual game is kind of different. Alright, so we've got a versus screen. Okay, this is a little disappointing. They should have they should have like created this into a Japanese anime type game. This doesn't look like anime. It looks okay. So there is a disconnection, at least in my opinion. The cutscene was pretty like Japanese anime cartoon like, but the actual game is kind of like a comic. Now, I do not know the background. This is the first time I'm actually looking at this game. No research. I can tell that this is basically the first flaw in my opinion. Of course I can be wrong, like I said, no research. Alright, so another thing that I notice is that the attacks are actually very quick, and the impact, at least I'm not playing the game, but what I can say is that I cannot feel the impact of the blows, not by looking at it at least. So this is the intro screen. This is good. You can actually add depth to your characters when you're to these intro screens, so that is a nice thing. Alright, so let's check out the gameplay. Okay, so each and every character has a special moveset that defines them. The problem is I cannot feel the impact of the blows, and I think that is probably a flaw, at least in my opinion. So you see that when she's kicking, the kicks actually go through the characters, like the if you take a look at the frame, I do not know whether I can catch it or not, but if you take a look at some of the attacks, yeah, you can check out this attack. You see that this is actually going through the character. I mean, it feels like the attack was actually here. There's no like there's no force like in Tekken. I believe, at least when I played Tekken 3, you could never see the attacks going through the characters. The animations were actually quite good even in Tekken 3, and I played Tekken 6 too, so that is something that Street Fighter should do. Again, every game is different, but I believe there could be an improvement if you actually did animate it correctly, and if you took a look, if you made your hitboxes a bit more realistic, could have added a lot of depth to the game. But then again, this is just me saying it. Probably didn't have the time required, or it was a low priority thing. We're just looking at what they can do. Also, again, just story. This has nothing to do with the gameplay really. It's just for, well, I can check out the story. This is not a review of the story or the, well, game. The story is part of game design, but I'm not looking at it at the moment. I do like that each character is like can easily be identified. It's like it's also in Tekken, but this is much better. Like the characterization of the characters is much better than that of Tekken. At least that's what I think. Another thing that I've seen in this game is that the combos are not as they're definitely not as complicated as they are in Tekken. It's just probably mashing a few buttons to execute a combo. So I believe that in competitions, it feels like it'll be easier to predict what's coming. Of course, I might be totally wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, either the player is not good or the actual game mechanics, the attack mechanics are just like one or two combos. I mean, there must be a lot of combos. They can't possibly compete with some like other games like Tekken if they're using just one or two button press combos. It doesn't make sense. So I believe that probably the professional players would be able to pull off more combos than this. Not sure. Oh, okay, so that was a grab and the grab missed. So other than that, the UI is pretty good. The way the game is presented is almost flawless. Like I said, there's a disconnection between the anime cutscenes and the game. Actually, that's the only real flaw. Other than that, everything is good. It is kind of like an arcade fighter, so you can see that the arcade scoring is pretty much there. Oh, that finished quickly. Alright, so let's see. Also see that the hitboxes are slightly inconsistent. I can feel that. Alright, so this wraps up the game design study. I mean, listen, I played Street Fighter, the original one, like years ago. But if I was sold this game, I would just say that I don't want this game simply because it's not the kind of game that I would like to play. But it's definitely a good game, especially for people who already know what Street Fighter is. I do think that it's probably not as smooth as the only other fighting game that I've played a lot, that's Tekken. It's not as smooth as that, doesn't look like it's that smooth. It feels a little bit like the old school, you know, not, well, I wouldn't say it's old school, but you see that when you hit, right, the game pauses for a bit, or the character like stops for a bit, the game stops. I don't remember what that effect was called, but it basically means that the character is not really, it's not as smooth as Tekken, because in Tekken the attacks are almost flawless. You see that it gets like it stops for a while, the character stops, the hurt animation. So yeah, that's something that I basically found, which I don't think it's good for a game like this. Anyway, take care guys, I'll see you in the next video.